Elena, sometimes I look at the world our kids are growing up in, and it just feels, well, a lot. A lot of uncertainty, a lot of information, a lot of noise. And as parents, we all want to give them the best, right?
Absolutely, Sophia. It's like my default is to throw rules at them. Don't do this, always do that. But then I step back and think, is that really preparing them? Or am I just trying to create a bubble that, frankly, doesn't exist anymore?
Exactly. That's the core of it, isn't it? We want to give them tools, not just a list of do's and don'ts, because rules can only take you so far. What happens when they encounter something outside the rule book?
Precisely. And that's where I get stuck. How do you teach them to navigate the gray areas? How do you instill that inner compass, that wisdom, when everything around them is constantly shifting?
That's why I'm so passionate about this idea of wisdom over worry. It's about tapping into something deeper, something timeless. For me, a lot of that comes from the rich tapestry of Caribbean proverbs and lived wisdom. It's not just about a culture, it's about a way of seeing the world, of approaching challenges.
Oh, that's so interesting. Caribbean proverbs. I've heard some, but I never thought of them as a framework for parenting. Tell me more, because honestly, wisdom over worry sounds like exactly what I need right now.
Well, think about it. These are sayings, these are insights passed down through generations. They're distilled wisdom, often wrapped in simple, memorable language. They're not abstract theories, they're practical guides for life.
So instead of saying, don't talk to strangers, a proverb might offer a nuanced way to think about discerning character, perhaps?
Exactly. It's about building emotional intelligence, resilience, and strong decision-making skills. Take every shut-eye ain't sleep and every goodbye ain't gone. What does that teach you about discernment?
Wow, that's profound. It's about looking beneath the surface, not taking things at face value. And for a child, that's incredibly powerful. It's not a rule, it's a way of thinking critically.
Precisely. It encourages them to observe, to question, to understand motivations rather than just reacting. It's about developing that inner discernment, that gut feeling, which is a cornerstone of emotional intelligence.
So it moves beyond just be kind, to understand why someone might not be kind and how you choose to respond. That's a huge leap from simple rules.
Absolutely. And these proverbs often contain layers of meaning that can grow with a child. A young child might grasp one layer, while a teenager can delve into its deeper philosophical implications. It fosters a lifelong engagement with wisdom.
I can see how that would encourage critical thinking. Instead of just being told what to think, they're given a seed of an idea to ponder and apply.
Exactly. Another one I love is smooth seas never made a skillful sailor. This is pure resilience. It's not about avoiding challenges, it's about understanding that challenges are what build strength and skill.
Oh, I need that one framed in my house. As parents, we instinctively want to protect our kids from every bump, but then they miss out on the opportunity to develop their own sailing skills.
Right? And when we frame challenges not as failures but as learning opportunities, as rough seas that hone their skills, it changes their whole outlook. It fosters a growth mindset, which is so crucial in these uncertain times.
It reframes I messed up into, okay, what did I learn from that particular storm? That's a huge shift in perspective for a child, especially when they're facing academic pressures or social challenges.
And it builds self-efficacy. When they overcome a difficulty, even a small one, because they've applied some inner wisdom, they feel that sense of accomplishment. They realize they have the capacity to navigate life, not just follow directions.
So, how do we actually weave these into daily life? Do I just start quoting proverbs at my kids, or is there a more organic way to introduce them?
It's definitely not about lecturing or quoting dryly. It's about using them as conversation starters. When your child comes home upset about something at school, instead of jumping in to solve it, you might say, that sounds like a bit of a rough sea, doesn't it? What do you think a skillful sailor would do in this situation?
I like that. It invites them into the wisdom, rather than imposing it. It makes them part of the problem solving, which is huge for decision making, actually.
Precisely. Or if they're struggling with a choice like, should I join this club or that one, you might bring up before you jump in, test the water. It's about encouraging them to gather information, to think through consequences, to not make impulsive decisions.
That's so practical. My son is always making snap decisions and then regretting them. Test the water is such a gentle, visual way to encourage him to pause.
And it's applicable to so many scenarios, from choosing friends to making academic choices to even more serious life decisions later on. It teaches them foresight.
I'm starting to see how these aren't just quaint sayings, they're really robust frameworks for life. They teach a certain kind of groundedness, don't they?
They absolutely do. They connect them to something ancient and enduring. In a world that often feels ephemeral and constantly changing, having anchors like these proverbs can give children a deep sense of security and identity.
And I guess that's where the wisdom over worry really comes in. When they have these internal tools, they can face the unknown with more confidence, more calm.
Exactly. They understand that while they can't control external circumstances, they can control their response. They can tap into that internal well of wisdom that's been cultivated within them.
I'm thinking about what's sweet in goat mouth, sour in him belly. That's such a clever way to talk about immediate gratification versus long-term consequences. My kids need that.
Perfect example. It's about delayed gratification, understanding that not everything that feels good in the moment is good for you in the long run. It's subtle, it's memorable, and it encourages self-reflection without being preachy.
It's like it gives them a little mental shorthand for complex ideas. Instead of a lecture, it's a phrase that encapsulates a whole lesson.
That's the beauty of it. And when you, as a parent, consistently refer back to these simple truths, they become part of your family's language, your family's shared wisdom.
So it's not just about teaching them don't lie, but using a proverb like a lie has no legs to illustrate the futility and eventual unraveling of deceit. It's so much more impactful.
Exactly. It teaches them integrity from a place of understanding, not just blind obedience. They see the natural consequences embedded in the wisdom.
I can see how this approach really fosters a sense of authenticity in children too. They're encouraged to think and feel for themselves rather than just conforming to external rules.
And that leads to strong self-worth. When they trust their own judgment, guided by these wise principles, they develop confidence. They know who they are, and they stand firm in that, even when the world is shaking around them.
It's like building an internal scaffold for their entire character, rather than us constantly trying to hold them up from the outside.
That's a fantastic analogy, Elena. And it's not just about Caribbean proverbs, although they are a beautiful example. It's about finding those nuggets of intergenerational wisdom, whatever your cultural background, and bringing them alive for your children.
So the key is to seek out those universal truths, often passed down through simple stories or sayings, and then apply them in a way that truly engages our kids' minds and hearts.
Precisely. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Start small. Pick one or two proverbs that resonate with you and look for opportunities to weave them into your conversations. The more you do it, the more natural it becomes.
I'm feeling so much more hopeful about this now. It really shifts the burden from me constantly having to enforce rules to me having the privilege of guiding my children towards their own inner wisdom.
And that's exactly the goal, to empower them, not just control them, to give them a legacy of wisdom that they can carry with them, no matter what uncertainties life throws their way.
Sophia, this has been truly enlightening. Thank you for showing me how to embrace wisdom over worry and give my kids the tools they truly need to thrive.
It's my absolute pleasure, Elena. And for all our listeners out there, remember, parenting in uncertain times doesn't have to be fueled by worry. It can be guided by wisdom. Start small, be consistent, and watch your children blossom into resilient, emotionally intelligent, and wise individuals. We're all in this together, and giving our children these profound tools is one of the greatest gifts we can offer.